point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 612th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Nancy Wolf.
Hi. Everybody.
What did you say?
Hi, everybody.
There you go.
Hello.
Okay. This, we're recording on the 20th of February, so this show is based on articles that appeared on the 13th of February from that date to the 19th of February, both of those dates being Thursdays. And the articles that we're talking about were all posted at my website, geoharvey.com. You can go there to find them, click on the calendar, and we'll try to keep you updated as to the date, so you know what day to click on. But also, there's a link down below on the page, so that you can go down and click on it. It's going to say something like tiny URL, and then it will say Energy Week 612. And if you click on that, you go to the listing that shows all of the photographs, all of the synopses, all of the links, so you can just go from there. So, we'll start.
So, yes.
We're starting at Thursday, February 13th. We have an article from Clean Technica and a picture of a lucid gravity.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We should put the photo up.
Oh, yes, there it is. And you could put it up too.
Now,
You've
now
done
I
it.
can, yes. Well,
Okay.
The headline here is Lucid and BMW execs claim efficiency more important than range for electric cars.
I want to point out BMW obviously is probably very nearly all of our viewers know this. It's an important German car manufacturer. Lucid is an American car manufacturer that makes just electric vehicles. And they're based in a city called Newark, California, if you can imagine that. Okay, Peter Rawlinson, CEO of Lucid, and Frank Weber, the head of development at BMW, and I'm not going to say BMW in German, because if I do, nobody will understand me, agree on smaller battery with efficiency. Quote, when we can make a battery pack for about $2,500, maybe $2,000 instead of $20,000 to $25,000 today, Rollins said. I said when, I should have said then. The point is, people are really anxious about a car's range.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be.
No.
You know, a lot of vehicles are never driven more than, at most, 50 miles a day. So why would you want to have 250 miles worth of range, especially considering that you could get 100 miles worth of range for 40% of the cost?
Anxiety. That's the
Anxiety.
reason.
That's the reason.
It's
Yes.
just it's kind of to me it's part of our feeling about risk tolerance and what we're willing to risk, like what kind of risk we're willing to tolerate, and people worrying about where they're going to plug in versus, do I actually have to go anywhere that's that far?
Yes.
But it's like a miscalculation of that, I think.
And I think people have forgotten that we've been in situations where you couldn't buy gasoline.
Yeah.
I mean, the gas crisis in the early 1970s
Right.
really nobody knew that was coming except for a very few people, and they weren't paid attention to. I happened to know it was coming. People made fun of me. I bought a car because it was coming, because I figured the value of the car would go up. It was a TR3, Triumph TR3. Yeah, the value went up. Okay, we shall go on.
Yes.
That was fun. There was a snowstorm. I think it was in Iowa, and there was a city that did not have a train running through it, that got cut off from the rest of the country by a blizzard. And the blizzard had that city completely cut off for days, during which, and this was in April, during which every wholesaler and every retailer of home heating fuel ran out. There was no fuel for anybody. And I said, whoa, that means every wholesaler had done the same conversion from making home heating oil to making gasoline at the same time without putting by anything in reserve. They had all made the same decision. What are the market conditions that would cause that? And then I said, holy smokes, in the fall, we're going to be in trouble. So, okay, we have a picture here of an Australian garage, and I want to point out how clean this garage is. Okay, just in case you want to believe that this actually is a real garage that's in use.
Well, the headline on this one is Australia's residential battery installations rise 30% in 2024.
This is from PV Magazine International. Residential battery installations have grown 30% in Australia since 2023, according to the CEC Momentum Monitor. Its latest figures show that 121,551 household batteries systems have been installed in Australia. I'll bet you that figure's off. I'll bet it's actually more.
Of course.
A figure that includes 28,262 units put in over 2024. And what's happening here is that for various reasons, most of which are connected to coal-fired power plants closing down, the cost of electricity at the retail level has gone up in Australia, despite the fact that they're putting in renewables, and people are getting upset, and they're finding that if they've got solar panels on the roof, they might as well just cut off and have their own system that will provide for them. Okay, should we go on? Or do you have something to say about that?
No, just that. No, this. It's just like yes. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now here is a very tall ship.
Yeah. Well, this is the Charybdis.
However you pronounce it.
Charybdis. Begins sea trials.
Yeah, this is from Renews. The first U.S.-made offshore wind turbine installation vessel has begun sea trials, so it is to be ready for this year's construction schedule. U.S.-made, and what do they name it? Charybdis. I don't know. Dominion Energy's Charybdis began sea trials this month off Brownsville, Texas. Maybe it's a name of an Indian tribe or something. It is contracted to Dominion Energy's 2.6 gigawatt coastal Virginia offshore wind array. That's an interesting picture because that picture shows what these installation vessels do. That is a ship. It's not a barge. It is weird because it might not have a rudder. It might be that it sideways turning and so forth is done by by fixed fans that are mounted to move the part of the vessel right or left. But they jack these things up on the ocean floor so they can have work with cranes and be absolutely steady. And, you know, that's what they do. And this, I think, is a test just done in the port so that they can test it before they go to sea to make sure it doesn't collapse or something.
Brownsville, Texas is known for the private prisons, I believe. That's for a private prison. I think I'm remembering something specific about Brownsville being where the child detention centers would be. So I underlined that I was going to read a little bit into that, but I didn't. I didn't get a chance to, but I was kind of curious because, as I said, I know of it for other different reasons.
Is Brownsville as far south in Texas as you can go? So it's just across the Rio Grande from Mexico.
There's
okay.
Yeah.
We are up to Friday, February 14th, and we have a picture of a goldfinch. That's a male goldfinch. Female goldfinches tend to be kind of brown, and the males do too in the winter. And I'm going to tell you why I like these birds so much.
Okay.
This is from the BBC.
Yeah. So the headline is, well-managed solar farms can boost wildlife.
This is, I think, an exciting article. It really is.
Yeah, very exciting.
A study from RSPB, which is the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, and the University of Cambridge found that well-managed solar farms can contribute to nature as well as, quote, provide relief from the effects of agricultural intensification, end quote. So you put a solar farm in the middle of a field that had been used for agriculture, and you can do agrivoltaics in that solar field also, and it will benefit just nature. Scientists found that the solar farms had a greater number of species and individual birds per hectare.
Also, 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times.
3 times as many.
3 times as many.
And you also, I think you have to understand the nature of farming in the UK. I lived in Devon. Mm-hmm. Devon is hedgerow country, you know, and these hedgerows are almost unimaginable.
Yeah.
You'll have a road go along between 2 hedgerows. The road is sunken 3 feet below grade. And what was removed is put next to the road. So the hedgerow is built on top of a mound of dirt that is several feet tall, which has hedges planted in it, partly to keep it all together. And this thing goes back and forth, and you're driving along, and all of a sudden there's a double-decker bus in front of you coming the other way. And it's amazing that, you know, trucks and buses can pass on these roads, but they do. And in those days, there was no speed limit on them, and some people tried to take advantage of that.
I see.
But the thing that I'm coming to is, you know, there was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile. What's a stile? Well, it can be made of wood. It can be made of stone, but it's a set of steps that takes you over the hedgerow.
Oh.
The fields are all separated by hedgerows. Right. And the fields might be 8 acres or 10 acres or 2 acres or whatever. But I talked to a farmer who was about to move a flock from one field to another. And I said, "Where's the gate?" He said, "No gate." I said, "So how do you get the sheep into that field?" He said, "You carry them on the stile," which in this case consisted of pieces of stone that just stuck out of it. It was absolutely crazy.
You carry them.
I wanted to mention, I love these birds, goldfinches, because this is an American goldfinch, by the way, not a European goldfinch, which is colored a little differently. They are polite. When we had, when my son was young, he got a bird feeder and filled it with thistle seeds, and these goldfinches would come by every day to get their fill of thistle seeds all winter long, and there might have been 20 of them. And they would sit on the 4 little posts at the bird feeder and feed. The ones that were not feeding would just wait patiently along, this sticks in the tree. And when one of the birds left, one of those birds would come down. They knew which one. I don't know how they kept track, but just one would come down. They never fought over who was going to be eating. They were polite. Anyway, there it is. Now everybody knows as much as I do about it. Okay, our next item is from Renews.
Yeah, and it's SEAH Wind confirms March start for Teesworks.
Yeah. SEAH Wind has confirmed it will commence commercial production at its 900 million pound monopile manufacturing facility. And that's basically what you're seeing there. That is what they call a can. I think that's what they call a can, which is a section of a monopile. And they're starting it at Teesworks in the UK next month. The company rolled out its first 7.5 meter diameter steel can in pre-production trials at the factory late last year. That thing is 7.5 meters across, and that's rolled steel.
Yeah, it's pretty, that image is pretty dramatic too. It's like the center of the...
Those men are standing in that thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's scary. Yeah. Our next item is from Renews.
Yeah. And that's Dragados to open Spanish yard for 10T platforms.
Okay, a new production yard was added in Spain by Dragados to carry out fabrication of tenets, and you pronounced it tenety, and that's as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. 2 gigawatt offshore converter stations, the production site with 400,000 square meters of space, that's a fair amount of space, is being built in the southern Spanish coastal town of Algeciras. Okay, I probably pronounced it wrong, but that's okay. The only Spanish I know are swear words I was taught by Puerto Ricans, and I won't say them because they have a Puerto Rican accent.
I lived in Spain for a time.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
They're converting platforms of the 2 gigawatt class. So the platforms that they're going to build here are the offshore platforms of various kinds that will include substations and things like that for wind farms. Okay, we're up to Saturday, February 15th, and we have a picture of a small group of penguins.
Yeah. And the headline on this one is World Sea Ice Falls to Record Low.
This is depressing.
Yes.
This is from the BBC. The world's frozen oceans currently have less ice than ever previously recorded, satellite data shows. Sea ice around the North and South Pole acts like a giant mirror by reflecting much of the sun's energy back into space. But as the ice shrinks, the dark ocean below can absorb more heat.
Yeah. Basically, there was this sheet, and then it's gone, and so now it's just worse.
Yeah, and this is we're seeing that climate change is accelerating.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think we have an article about that. I'm putting together an article for Green Energy Times on that subject, And why is it accelerating?
Well, here you have, this is one that had this wonderful, it had a graph in it too, but one thing that stood out to me here was that until the mid-2010s, Antarctic sea ice had been remarkably resilient, defying predictions that it would shrink. And then post-2010s.
Yeah.
It just, so we're
It
in
started to shrink.
Yeah.
And we don't know everything, so we don't know exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
what's happening is two things. One is climate change is happening faster. And I've been watching this for 10 years and just seeing it gradually get faster. Yeah. And on the other hand, sea ice is being replaced by open sea. Sea ice reflects heat, open sea absorbs it. And so why is it causing mischief? Well, that's probably the reason. The penguins here in this picture are on an ice floe. And they had been going ashore and in some cases wandering for miles inland in their funny walk to get to places where their eggs and their young were protected from predators. And I worry about penguins. Not all of them, by the way, live like this group. There are penguins that are native to the Galapagos, I believe, which is pretty close to the equator. None of them in the northern hemisphere. I keep thinking maybe I should go down to Antarctica and grab a couple and move them to Greenland and surprise everybody. But okay. We have an item here from Renews.
Yes. Yes. Tamil Nadu, key to Indian offshore wind expansion.
A study by Ocean Energy Pathway, supported by GWEC and COWI, whatever they are, claims that Tamil Nadu holds the key to delivering up to 6,500 billion rupees, which is to say 6.5 trillion rupees, and to make sense of that, it's $75 billion of economic growth and an additional 805,000 jobs from the supply chain for offshore wind manufacturing by 2030. Good luck. You know, I honestly wish them luck doing that. You know, I'm tired of not having luck in the United States.
Yep.
Oh, something has to be done. That vessel, I think, is interesting. If you recall that vessel early on, where it was way up in the air, it had the pillars coming down. And here you can see this vessel is actually fairly close to the water, and the pillars have only been put down about halfway because it's fairly close to the ocean floor. So now you know what it looks like with those pillars sticking up in the air, and they are sticking up very high here. I don't know how many stories that mast is tall, but it might be, I don't know, 30. Okay.
Yeah.
We have an item from Clean Technica, and this is the American answer to the Australian garage that nobody has ever set foot in. This is the house that nobody has ever set foot in. And one of the things that bothers me about this house is that the garage windows, which are way up in the air, are there, but you don't see any other windows in the house. Oh, I went to the wrong one.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Wait.
That's the one.
Yeah. Okay. I have a different image. Oh wait. It's just. Never mind.
It's okay.
It's okay. So I have a headline here, which is Ford, GM, and other automakers pushing to keep U.S. EV tax credits, especially leasing one.
Yeah, the windows are now in motion to kill U.S. EV tax credits. By the way, headed off by, or I shouldn't use the words headed off because it sounds like he would be blocking, pushed by Elon Musk, who is a major owner in Tesla, and you'd think he'd want the EV tax credits, but he doesn't because he thinks Tesla is ready to survive without them better than anybody else is. And I got news. We're going to be talking about that. However, Ford, GM, and other car makers are reportedly trying to stop Republicans from killing those tax credits. One compromise would be to phase the credits out over a period of 3 years. There are other things that they're talking about.
I mean, I just thought it was sort of amusing to me that they're trying to preserve a leasing.
Well, they make more money.
I know. Yeah. I just was amused by that. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, we're up to Sunday, February 16th. And what do we have here? Okay, Clean Technica again.
Yeah. It's this image that distracted me earlier. It's this image that distracted me. Which is Tesla troubles mount as Musk goes full rogue.
We said that we're going to be talking about this.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's worst offense may appear to Europeans to be a Nazi salute at the inauguration. That's a picture of him.
Yep.
The ketamine addict, did I pronounce that
Ketamine.
right? Ketamine addict is losing sales as people react to his antics. Last month, Norway recorded a 37.9% slump. Tesla sales in France fell by 63.4%. In Spain, sales plummeted by 75.4%. And they went down in other countries too. And they're down in the United States. I don't know what he thinks he's doing.
I don't think he cares.
By the way,
that's my hole on the wall.
The thing about ketamine is that it is a hallucinogenic drug.
Yes.
It is given to people as a painkiller, an anesthetic. But there are people who are addicted to it. And Elon Musk in December put out and what do you call it from when it's put out on X? Do they still call them tweet? He put out an X thing that said that his tolerance for ketamine was basically endless. You know, he had a lot of tolerance, which is what happens when people get addicted to it.
Well, yeah, when you take too much of something, that's what happens. Anything you do, you would.
So the point is, this ketamine addict, which is not my words, that's the words of the author who put this into Clean Technica, is not a joke. This is apparently what is going on. Elon Musk's tweet has been removed, but there's plenty of pictures of it. And it's very sad, I think. But let's go on. Let's get away from that.
Yes.
Whoops.
Yes. So, in an entirely different realm, we have, now is the time for giant UK offshore wind farm.
This is from the BBC. A Norwegian renewable energy firm says the time is right for a large wind farm off the Devon and Dorset coast. Source Galileo is, and that, by the way, that coast is, that point where Dorset and Devon meet on the coast is about 10 miles from where I lived. It was very close.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because you mentioned Devon.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful countryside. And I've been down to the coast down there and gone into the water. And okay, Source Galileo is planning a 2 gigawatt project involving at least 100 turbines, which it said could power over 3 million homes. It announced a deal with Portland Port for service. Portland is a port city that is to the west of this, And obviously American cities were named after it, but you know, I've never been to Portland. I've been to Portland, Maine, but that doesn't count.
I've been to both Portlands.
Both?
Well, I've been to both American Portlands.
Ah.
Portland, Oregon, and Portland, Maine.
I will be awestruck if you tell me that you've been to every Springfield.
Oh, that's never going to happen.
I wouldn't be
I
surprised
haven't
if there
figured
was.
out where they all are. I mean,
There's something like 30 of them. I don't know. Okay, our next item is from Clean Technica, and we're going to do it.
yes.
Well, that is a Blazer EV prototype.
Yeah. So Trump attacks electric vehicles. GM claps back with Blazer EVR.
Amidst the backdrop of Tesla CEO Elon Musk's real-life coup in the United States, signs are emerging that EVs are a battleground on which some titans of big business are willing to fight. Exhibit A is GM using the backdrop of NASCAR's Indy 500 race to show off its new EV lineup. And that car is a prototype of one of the cars they're showing off at this EV thing. And you know, EVs have got certain advantages over gas-powered cars.
Yeah. Definitely.
Did you know the story about Jay Leno setting the world record for the quarter mile in a stock car?
No.
Here's a guy who is never a professional driver. He's very interested in cars.
Yes, definitely.
He was over 70 years old, and he heard about this car, which was a Tesla Model S. Oh, what was it called? Tesla Model S Plaid, which comes from Spaceballs movie or something like that. And when he heard that this was coming out, he called Elon Musk and asked if he could borrow one. It's an identical car to a car that he drives, so he was familiar with how it was set up. Elon Musk sent the car and a professional driver to him, and he went to a quarter mile track and sat down in the car and immediately set a land speed record for the quarter mile in a stock car. And then the professional driver got in, and he drove again and set a new record on top of Jay Leno's. But Jay Leno held the record for
a few minutes.
And the reason was because this car is like 2,000 horsepower, something like that. Okay, we're up to Monday, February 17th. And we've got there is the right picture.
There we go.
And this is from ABC News.
Yeah, this is a major test case for new geothermal technology launches in small German town.
Geothermal companies are using techniques developed in the oil and gas industry to drill deep and extract heat from dry, hot rock. One of them, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm going to say EAVOR. Is this
Ever, maybe?
Ever, maybe. I don't know. EAVOR. A lot depends on what language it's in.
Yeah.
Is starting up its first commercial power plant in the town of Geretsried, turning it into a proving ground. Now, I'm a little bit upset about this. I hope this doesn't become a major thing until it's actually been tested.
Right.
Because they're going to have the same problems with some of the same problems with fracking used to get geothermal heat as they would have doing fracking for oil and gas.
But they say it's not fracking.
They say it's not fracking, yeah.
They say it's not fracking, but okay. I say they just keep talking about it as if it's a hot water heater. And is it a hot water heater or is it fracking? Or is there somewhere in between that they're talking about?
I think it's fracking.
Yeah, it sounds like it's fracking when they're talking about drilling into rock. Sounds like fracking.
And they're calling it a hot water heater because they don't want to call it fracking.
No, they don't.
And why don't they want to call it fracking? Well, there are reasons.
Yeah. Well, also, when it comes to things like that, it's got a bad rep.
That's right. And maybe it should.
Well, yeah, of course. Yes, it should.
Okay, we have an item from Newsweek, and we have a Power County wind farm. By the way, there is a Power County. That's the name of the county.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
I looked it up. I'm not kidding.
I missed that. I missed that when I was looking at that earlier. That's Power County. Wow.
Yeah. Not powder, power.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I
Isn't
wonder what kinds of energy aspects are related to.
It's probably named after a guy, maybe a girl, whose name was Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got for a title?
So we have Trump orders threaten U.S. wind projects.
Yeah, according to a recent analysis by financial data firm FactSet, up to 89% of U.S. undeveloped wind projects are at risk as a result of Trump's Day One directive, which paused offshore wind lease sales in federal waters, as well as approval, loan, and permit issuances for onshore and offshore projects. I want to mention here Donald Trump's track record on energy is pretty horrible. And I'm not talking about morally, that's certainly true, or politically or ethically or any of that stuff. I'm talking about just financially. And you can see this in what happened to coal. He went around talking about Trump digs coal in 2016. The coal miners were just behind him in droves. And during his tenure, in that 4 years, a third of the coal miners lost their jobs. And why that happened, you would think that he would have done something wise to help them keep going down into the mines, or to the mines, I should say, not necessarily down into, because a lot of this is just digging a big hole in the ground and scraping all the coal out, or chopping the top off a mountain and taking the coal that you find there, wrecking the landscape. He could have backed that, but what he did was he backed fracking. So the price of natural gas was artificially low because he was backing fracking, and the result of that was that the coal couldn't compete with it.
He's as you've said before, he's picking and choosing who is winning this because he's deciding who he's picking.
And when I was young and fairly conservative, I wasn't as conservative as any of my friends, but one thing that I used to hear from them is it's not right to pick winners and losers.
Yeah.
That should be done by the market. And that's not what's being done.
No.
And I happen to think that that is a terrible thing to say. The more I look at it, the worse it seems. But he's picking winners and losers without reference to any kind of knowledge or study of what the result will be.
No, it's just feelings.
It's feelings, that's right.
Yeah.
What time is it? Oh, we're right on schedule, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can, there we go.
Yes.
This is an interesting photograph.
Yeah.
Countryside in Perak. I want to tell everybody where Perak is. Perak is a state in Malaysia.
I see.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, so the headline here is Kinergy Advancement partners with Perak State Agency to develop 29 renewable energy projects.
Yeah, this is from The Edge, Malaysia. Kinergy Advancement BHD's subsidiary, KAB Energy Holdings, SDN BHD, is working with Perak. I can't pronounce it. It's not going to happen. To develop 29 potential renewable energy products in the Malaysian state of Perak. Their total capacity is over 18,000 megawatts. That's 1.8 gigawatts. So this is, it's not just 29 rooftop arrays or something. This is big. So there you have it. So do you have anything else on that? I want to talk for a moment about that photograph.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful, but you know, I'm kind of accustomed to seeing seeing the countryside, you know, the hillsides built with what do they call the flat areas, the terraces, which are in many cases covered with water because they grow rice in them. And at one point in its development, rice likes a lot of water. These are a very different thing. They look like, those things look like swales that are designed to prevent water from flowing down the hillside.
They're like walls, little walls.
They're like little walls.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're there makes the hillside steeper where in any area where they are not. And I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of that is. Obviously, there's an agricultural purpose to it. Yeah. But, you know. Yeah. Okay, we are up to Tuesday, February 18th. And we have an item from Clean Technica and a picture of a Chevy Silverado EV hauling a boat.
Yeah, it's CNBC. GM EV effort better prepared than Ford for tariffs.
As I think I said, this is from Clean Technica. CNBC ran a story about GM's confidence in the face of the threat of tariffs in Mexico and Canada, countries where U.S. domestic automakers have a sizable footprint. If the numbers are correct, GM is in a better position to weather tariffs than Ford is, despite a significant presence in Mexico. Now, why are we worried about GM and Ford? Because these tariffs are going to make it hard for them to build cars. The cost of their cars is going to go up. That's going to make selling the cars harder.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a car, you're probably better off waiting for a year or two to see these tariffs go away. You might have to wait for 4 years because Donald Trump never backs down. He always backs down, but he never allows you to believe he's backed down.
Yes, it's all about the image.
Perception.
Yeah, perception is reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but here what we're seeing is that according to CNBC, GM is better prepared than Ford. And I'm not sure what I should do about that. If anything, I'm not going to invest in either one of them. I'm not going to buy a car. You know, I don't even have a driver's license anymore. I gave up altogether. Altogether. And, you know, if I happen to be out on the street with my expired driver's license and some ICE cop pulls me over and says, "Where were you born?" I will say, truthfully, Atchison, Kansas. And he'll say, "That's in Venezuela." And off I go, hopelessly, with no chance of ever coming back. Okay, should we go on?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, we have a picture that is, the layout of that picture is bad enough that it reminds me of
Bowling alley?
No, a painting actually by what was that artist's name? Hieronymus Bosch.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Hieronymus Bosch's paintings are
Yes.
never center on anything.
No.
And this looks similar. An item from Clean Technica.
Yeah, so this headline is Climate Impulse Putting the Green Hydrogen Aircraft Pieces Together.
This I don't like the photograph, but the story is interesting to me. The green hydrogen market has been slow on the uptake as the industry is relatively new and costs are stubbornly high. The Climate Pulse aims to change the image with a non-stop 9-day flight around the equator in an electric aircraft powered by green hydrogen. That's kind of amazing, I think. What?
It's like, I've been trying to make hydrogen a thing for so long.
I know. You're not impressed.
I'm not impressed because it reminds me of Who Killed the Electric Car, or biofuel, or it just reminds me of any continuously failed experiments.
Yeah, Who Killed the Electric Car is one that I actually spent quite a while looking into.
Yeah.
And I came to the conclusion that the real story is nothing like what the movie would have you believe. But nevertheless, I'll go into that if you want me to at some point. But yeah, I can understand that. It's interesting that Clean Technica did this story, which I think that was Tina Casey who wrote that. And there's another writer at Clean Technica who really has it in for hydrogen, and anything that is, he has artificial intelligence generated pictures of hydrogen vehicles with weeds growing around them and bird droppings on their roof and stuff like that. Because he doesn't think hydrogen is, and he writes frequently about this. And I'm not sure that he says anything new, but I hate artificial intelligence generated images, and so I don't use them. But I don't know, maybe this will work. It's very challenging. They're going to have 2 people in this airplane, and they're going to fly nonstop around the world at the equator.
When do people sleep?
They take turns. They take turns.
Okay. Yeah.
One of them.
That's really exhausting, though, for 9 days straight.
Well, what I used to do back in the days where I worked in a chemical factory and smoked was I would light a cigarette and stick it between my fingers and just nod off until my fingers got hot, and then I'd wake up. Okay.
Just alarm.
Yeah.
Clock.
Yeah, that's what it was. I knew a Mormon, by the way, who, of course, Mormons don't smoke. It's just against the rules for Mormons to smoke. He said there is one use for tobacco, and that is to make it a dust that you spread in the chicken's nest to take care of pests that get in there. But I pointed out to him, we were out in the woods and we were being attacked by insects mercilessly, and they were like deer flies. They bite. They're horrible. Yeah. And I said, what you need is a cigarette. And he said, I don't smoke. And I said, you don't have to. I will light it. You just hold it. And it's kind of like punk sticks. I don't know if you're familiar with those. You could go into a pharmacy and buy punk sticks when I was a kid, light them, and they would just smoke, and they would keep insects away. And tobacco would keep these deer flies away. Very useful for that. But, okay, let's go on. Mm-hmm. We have another item from Renews.
Yeah, this is Ørsted starts offshore build at 920 megawatt Changhua 2B and 4.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to understand what that means. Ørsted started the offshore construction of the 920 megawatt Greater Changhua 2B and 4 offshore wind farms in Taiwan. All of a sudden, we know why it's difficult to say.
Oh, for you, see, the first part is harder for me to say than the second part.
Yeah. Ørsted was awarded the offshore wind farms in 2018. That's quite a while back. It signed a 20-year fixed-price corporate power purchase agreement in 2020, still quite a ways back, for a corporate customer for all production. So all of this, and this particular article has a really interesting photograph with it. Those are the bases of wind towers for wind turbines, and you'll notice that they have buckets at the bottoms of the bases, which are going to be filled with something, probably something very cheap, maybe just rocks. Who knows? You could fill them with gravel. I mean, you could fill them with cement, but why? You know, with concrete rather. You might as well just fill them with gravel. The gravel's going to be as durable as the concrete. Okay, let's go on.
Yeah. Oh.
We're up to Wednesday, February 19th, and we have an item from Renews.
Yeah, it's confidence high in renewable energy sector.
An annual survey of renewable energy sector found that almost 94% of respondents have high levels of confidence in the industry, with storage systems and solar power identified as key growth areas. Despite the overall optimism, grid instability is perceived as the greatest challenge for a renewable sector. Instability is addressed by batteries and various techniques.
We're talking about firm, extra firm.
Exactly.
So, or as a layperson might, as I might explain it, like grounded, like almost like grounded energy. In a certain sense.
Yeah. And but 94% saying that they have confidence it makes me wonder, what questions did this survey ask?
Yeah.
They might have asked about long-term confidence that it would be good in the long term, but in the short term in the United States, I wouldn't be very confident.
Well, it's about faith, right?
Yes.
It's about it's about faith, because I kind of, since coming on the show, I have a lot more faith in the renewables industry than I previously did. And that's because I understand that it has become so built into society at this point that it seems inevitably careening forward no matter what can happen, because the capitalists talk about market forces, and this is the market force.
This is the market force. So, absolutely. Donald Trump is not a market force.
No, he's annoying. Very inconvenient.
Yeah, well,
extremely.
You know, one thing about Donald Trump is he's not always going to be in charge. The people contacted for that survey, by the way, were professionals in the sector. So they were people who had experience, who knew what the issues were.
Yeah, and one of the things about that too is they're talking about perception.
Yeah.
And it's not about how the grid is or is not unstable. It's the perception of whether or not it's stable. And so when I see those two things, it's not what it seems. Like it's not exactly.
Yes.
And also, if they're only picking professionals, they're not going to people who don't know, who are potentially some of the people that voted in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, yes, of course, people in the industry think that it's doing well. They're in the industry.
Yeah, that's right.
They actually know.
And they know that they can be set back in the short term and recover and do very well. We've got so much wind power and solar power on the books, ready to go ahead, that it's unbelievable. The amount of capacity we've got that has been applied for and is just waiting for permission to go ahead and grid connections and stuff is more, as I recall, than all of the capacity that we've got online now.
It's just whether or not yeah.
And in order to build a nuclear plant, you have to convince somebody that they are going to have to invest in a nuclear plant, which strikes me as being bizarrely difficult when you consider how much they cost.
Well, and also there's so much about how disastrous that is for the land as well.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what you're doing to your land.
Yeah.
When you put in all these types of industrial sites.
Yes.
And
nuclear industry is not the only one that's guilty of that.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
Yeah. Okay. We have a picture of the Windward Athens.
Yeah, Windward Offshore Secured Loan Facility. It's the headline here.
This is from Renews. Windward Offshore secured senior loan financing of up to 182 million euros for 4 commissioning service operation vessels. That is to say, 4 vessels that do commissioning service. Okay. Construction of the CSOVs is underway at Vard. I don't even know what country that's in, so I don't know how to pronounce it.
See, I thought it was it's just always amusing to me when new abbreviations are I learn.
And the first of them is already completed. That first vessel, the Windward Athens, which is pictured, was launched last week, which is why it's got tarps all over the top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Our last item, we have a picture of a container ship, and this comes from Clean Technica.
Yeah. UN shipping bodies' green fuels law could worsen the sector's climate impact.
Nearly a third of global shipping could run on biofuels in 2030. I don't believe it, but that's what they say. T&E analysis shows up from less than 1% now. They're going to put on that much in 5 years? I'm not sure. But the International Maritime Organization's draft of green fuels, of the green fuels law, could make climate change worse and put pressure on global food supplies. We have 31 million acres in the United States devoted to corn for ethanol.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of the stuff that we have is there for one reason, and that's so somebody can make money.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and we're wishing everybody a lovely week, a memorably lovely week.
Yes.
There you go.
There we are.
There it is. So we've come up to the end of the show, and thank you, Nancy, for coming in and helping out. Actually, I shouldn't say thank you for helping out, because you were as much a lead on this as I am. Yeah. It's as much yours as it is mine. And not only that, Nancy is one of the directors of BCTV.
Yep. Yeah.
So she and a film producer.
Yeah.
So she knows something. And she's been an activist for energy of various kinds.
Yeah.
Very good. See you next time.
See you next time.
Come back and enjoy our next show. I hope you enjoyed this one, and have a good week.